What is going on, my fellow nerds? OperatorOtter here. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and with this video, it gets just a little bit better. So last video, we were talking about how to obtain ether. This video is going to be about the rewards. And spoiler alert, if you're an experienced Infernal Hordes player, and you think that you're going to get some crazy revelation of like what the best tier to farm the rewards is, you're not. This is one of the few times where the actual heart set data is supporting what players are feeling on an anecdotal level. So whatever you're feeling is the best is probably the best. If you are newer to the Hordes and you are trying to figure out, hey, what can I expect per tier level of the Hordes and what the rewards should be as I'm going through it, then hey, stick around. This will be a great video for you so that you can kind of expect and plan out how you're going to gear your character. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so in the link in the description below, this will take you to the page, which is the Hordes Reward list. Now, on the bottom left, this is the Horde Moon tier list that we went over yesterday, and then this is the Hordes Reward list. So it's on the bottom left tab. You can just switch over to it. I do want to go over how I record this data because I believe that academic journalism is very important. I do want to express how I record this data because that's an important facet, and then also how I interpreted this data. The numbers that you're going to see here are not going to be one-to-one to what you get because you could have a faster build than mine, you could have a slower build than mine, and that's going to kind of jumble up the data a little bit. But in terms of the relevancy, in terms of the scaling per horde level that you're going to have, it should be about the same. So that should be relevant. So how I recorded this was that I went into each horde level. I did 5 runs of each horde level. I recorded the time that it took to complete that run, the number of waves that were in that run, the total amount of aether I got. And then at the end, I would open the equipment chest 5 times, the greater equipment chest once, the materials chest 5 times, and then with the remaining ether I had, I would dump it into the gold chest to figure out how much gold was being given per aether. All right, so when it comes to the equipment chest, I recorded the legendaries, I recorded the greater affects, and I recorded the uniques. Now for the greater affects, I do want to express a caveat here. Essentially, for every star that I saw, I just recorded as 1. So right here, when it says 4, this could be 1 item with a greater affects and another item with 3 greater affects. It could be 4 items with 1 greater affects. It was all the same. That's how I recorded it. Now, it's kind of weird because getting an item with 3 greater affects is obviously more rare than getting 4 items with 1 greater affects. So that kind of skews things a little bit, but I do want to, at least express that. That is kind of a flaw in terms of the way that I recorded this data for the greater affects. But going on. All right, and then for the materials, I recorded the herb bundles, because that's going to be for elixirs, and the angels, that's important for the elixirs, the forgotten souls, and then the masterworking materials, because that's very important. I do want to talk about the fact of Stygian stones. So Stygian stones are reported to drop as low as the tier 4 hordes, but I was not able to consistently get them. I got 1 Stygian stone drop in this entire recording that I got, and that was at tier 6 on run 3. I didn't get any in tier 7, but when I started doing tier 7s on my own, anecdotally, I was able to get about 1 Stygian stone per 15 chest opens. So usually like 1 to 2 Stygian stones per run when I dumped all of my aether into the materials chest. So that's pretty cool because those are used to spawn uber bosses. When I finished my 5 runs for the specific horde level that I was at, I then took an average of what I got over the 5 runs to give me an average of what I would get per run. Now in statistics, the rule of thumb is everything and nothing can happen. So you can see these averages and then go complete a horde level and get totally different numbers than what these averages are. But after you do them for thousands of iterations, it should fall more into line of what we have here. This was only 5, and the central limit theorem states that I need to do it at least 30 times. I'm not doing 30 horde levels and recording that for all hordes. That's just not happening. That is going to be a 80-hour project that I just am not invested into. I want to do other things in the game. So I'm sorry, I cannot do this with the central limit theorem to give you a 95% confidence interval. Not happening. Sorry. So we did 5. That's where I'm calling it. Now, when it comes to the per hour mark, we obviously need to add some time here because you're not just going to complete the bosses, automatically get everything, and then jump right back into the next horde. That's not what happens. You have to spend some time actually opening the chest and then going through your gear and then going into the next one. So what I did was I added 60 seconds per run to the average completion time, and then took that time that I got and divided it by 3,600, or took 3,600 and divided it by that to give us essentially an average of how many runs per hour we could do, and then multiplied that across the averages that we have so that we could get how much per hour that we were doing of these if we were to dump all of the aether into each chest. So this isn't splitting it like I was up here. This is, I am going all equipment chest, I'm going all into my materials chest, or I'm going all into my gold. All right, so with that information out of the way, now what we need to do is we need to actually interpret the data. So let's do that. We're going to scroll on down here to average totals per horde level if all of the Aether is spent on the corresponding chest selection. So we are no longer splitting it 5 here, remaining into the gold here. That's not what we're doing. What we are doing is dumping all of the Aether into a corresponding chest, either being the equipment chest, the materials chest, or the average gold chest. We cannot dump everything into the greater equipment chest because the greater equipment chest can only be opened once, but I will say this. The greater equipment chest has the highest Aether to greater affix unique ratio, and what that means is that it will be always more worth it to open up a greater equipment chest than it will be to open up 3 regular equipment chests, because 3 regular equipment chests and 1 greater are the same amount of Aether. It will always be more worth it to open up a greater equipment chest. So if you are going for equipment for gear to gear your character or to sell on Diablo.trade, then you should absolutely be opening up the greater equipment chest every single time and then dumping the rest into your equipment chest. So what we should see here is a general trend going upwards in terms of the rewards that we are seeing, or the gold or the materials, whatever the case may be. We see a general trend going upwards if we're doing harder horde levels. That makes sense, right? And that is exactly what we are seeing. What's interesting that I should note, though, is that even though it is taking us a longer time to complete because there are more waves, so that's adding a minute per wave, this is going to make it so it takes longer to complete, as well as the bosses are more tanky. We are getting more Aether, but does that match here? So if we look here, we have 285 total Aether. We are able to get 29 of the herb bundles. But if we double the amount of Aether, which is kind of what we're doing on a horde level 7, we are actually getting like triple to quadruple the amount of bundle. So even though it may take us twice as long, and we're only getting twice as many Aether, we're actually getting 4 times the rewards, which means that we're getting exponential worth within the Aether. That means that for every horde level that we go up, that Aether is actually worth more in terms of its value per chest that you're opening for the rewards. That's awesome. And this is also going to scale into the per hour thing that we're talking about. Basically, the higher horde level that you go, the more rewarding it is. So now what we want to do is we want to look into the per hour. So this is your rate. This is the very top one that we're talking about here. What we can see is that even though it's taking us longer, so we get 7 runs on a horde level 1, we only get 4.6 at horde level 7. Look at the total amount of Aether that we were actually able to achieve in that hour. We actually just get more Aether in that hour than we could at horde level 1 or any other horde level. We just get the most amount of Aether on a horde level 7. Makes sense. But not only that, the rewards that we're getting are way more. It means that the highest horde you can do, that's the one you should be doing. What I really want to talk about here is the materials chest and the gold chest, because those are definitely the 2 best chests. I would absolutely say the materials chest is goated, but the gold chest has its value as well. If we look at the material chest here, the bundles and the angels are great because that's going to supply your elixirs, and the souls are awesome because that's actually going to supply your masterworking, but I really want to look at the masterworking materials. So at tier 3, this is where you're going to start getting Obdusite. At tier 5, this is where you're going to start getting Inglith. At tier 7, this is when you get Netherian. Every chest that you open up gives you 25 Netherian at horde level 7. And if you do this for an hour, averaging about 500 to 550 Aether per run, you are able to get 3,000 Netherian. That is enough to masterwork 6 pieces of gear to 12 out of 12. Do you remember how long it took last season and how much you had to farm the pit to be able just to masterwork 1 piece of gear? You get this much now. That's 6 pieces of gear. So if you devote a day just doing 4 hours of horde and just dump everything in the materials chest, you will have enough materials to masterwork all of your gear for like 10 different builds for the rest of the season. Like, you're good. You're done, right? And then on top of that, you can also do the gold. You're getting 350 million gold per hour if you're doing horde level 7. At horde 8, it's even higher. Now, I did not do horde 8 because, quite honestly, my character isn't geared enough for it. I don't have Shaco. I need Shaco. If I get Shaco, all my problems are solved. But I don't have Shaco yet. I decided to prioritize this over the Uber farming. I'm going to do some Uber farming today. Hopefully I can get Shaco. But once I have Shaco, horde 8 solo, totally easy. Can totally do it. But I have done it in groups, and the rewards are something else. So yeah, hordes are just the best when it comes to everything in terms of getting either your equipment for your character, your masterworking materials, or just your materials in general, or gold. It just solves everything. You no longer have to worry about the gold sink for masterworking. You no longer have to worry about the materials for masterworking. You no longer need to worry about actually getting gear, and you can actually take this gear and sell it online or just gear your character. Like, hordes are just the best at everything. And then pits are really where you're going to have that like ego thing, or, you know, just self-confidence thing where like, hey, I can do this pit level. This is just basically a show off of what my build can do. So yeah, that's basically the Hordes and going forward with that. So just do the highest level you can do. And that's what I was talking about in terms of what we were anecdotally experiencing is now matching what the actual data says. So that's all I have for you. I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. Go ahead and get in the Hordes, start farming, and do the things. Enjoy the game. Other than that, I have nothing for you. Operator Otter,